Welcome to Thieves' Cant, a tabletop gaming podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Shane and Chris White.
Welcome in and welcome back. It is Thieves' Cant, Monday, January 5th. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
Thanks for listening. The holiday season officially wrapped up. This is like the first week back for a lot of folks, right?
Yeah, that's right.
First week back to life, work,
darkness,
responsibility and darkness.
The gray waste.
But the good news is we're here.
Exactly.
So for the next 15 minutes or so, just immerse yourself in,
whatever this is. Yeah. You can actually increase your vitamin D levels by listening to this.
Hey, however you're listening, thanks for doing so. Thank you for subscribing at thievescantcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all the places. Remember, you can email thievescantcast@gmail.com. Today, Chris, it's a new crowdfunding spotlight, our question of the week, and the latest headlines. Let's jump in. Hey, over on ICV2, game store owner and marketing instructor Scott Thorne, he's actually the owner of one of our local game stores, Castle Perilous.
Castle P.
Yeah, over in Carbondale, Illinois. He writes a column, and he revisits 3 predictions he made at the beginning of 2025, and he grades how they held up by the end of the year. All right, so 3 predictions. The first one, Chris, was on tariffs. He predicted that tariffs either would not be imposed or would be short-lived and reduced to manageable levels. He acknowledges that this prediction was wrong as it relates to the comic and game industry. Instead, tariffs directly affected the hobby. Some tariffs were later reduced or removed, especially on food. The overall average tariff rate rose significantly across the year. He notes that industry groups like Gamma are still pursuing legal action, arguing that the administration exceeded its legal authority, and he expects the issue may ultimately be resolved by the Supreme Court in 2026. So he says he was wrong on tariffs. Prediction number 2 was on the trading card game market. He predicted a shakeout in the market, like a little bit of a collapse. He expected a lot of trading card games to fail or disappear in 2025 due to lack of player enthusiasm. He labels this prediction, quote, really wrong. Instead, he counts roughly 30 active trading card games with several more planned for the year. Some release schedules slowed, but no publishers publicly exited the space during the year. He goose on to highlight digital trading card games as a major factor since digital distribution allows publishers to release new sets at far lower cost and to sustain smaller audiences than physical games require. And finally, prediction number 3 concerned a D&D gift set. With the new core rule books out, Thorne predicted it would not arrive in 2025, and that prediction proved accurate. No gift set was released. He now expects one eventually, but likely not until 2027. I think that's probably a sound prediction, a new gift set with the 3 new core rule books.
Yeah. Some of his predictions were wrong, but, obviously, Scott has a really strong mind for business.
Yeah.
He's an instructor, so he's
an instructor, and he's owned this store for
decades.
Over 30 years now.
Yeah. A long time.
You wish your local game store was as good as Castle Perilous.
That's true.
Gotta say.
And so, I appreciate his analysis, even if a few of the predictions were off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Hey, something we can expect later this year as we move on, a new starter set for Warhammer, the ENWorld role-playing game. That should be in Q2 of this year. ICV2 reports that the box set will include a starter adventure, maps, tokens, and dice. Sounds like everything you need. The adventure is called The Hand That Feeds. It's set in Talagad, a seedy river port where players find allies in smoke-filled taverns, brave the river Talabek, and face down horrors from beyond the grave. It's going to be like a $40 box set, I believe. I've always been curious about the Warhammer role-playing games.
This is your introduction to the game.
Yeah. Now, of course, they've got Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing, which is, to my knowledge, a different system and a different setting than the old world. I think it's the same setting. It's just a different time period. I want to say that Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing is percentile, and that the old world uses like a D10 dice pool, I think.
Yeah, I'm really not that familiar.
But yeah, if you're looking for some gritty fantasy role-playing and you're curious about the Warhammer setting, the starter set may be a great way in. And while that comes out later this year, I don't think it's on the list of most anticipated RPGs at ENWorld. That poll, by the way, closes this Thursday. You can take a look at the options there and vote for up to 3 of your most anticipated RPGs of the new year. Get your vote in before it closes on Thursday. While we're talking about ENWorld, Chris, one more news note. I thought this was interesting. There's a blurb up talking about Daggerheart sales. This is fascinating. So Daggerheart, upon release, sold out in 2 weeks. But according to Ed Lopez, who is Critical Role's chief operating officer, they anticipated that their stock would last a year.
Wow.
They didn't realize the demand there was going to be for their new game. So he goes on to reveal that Darrington Press actually has a 3-year plan in place for Daggerheart, includes the already announced Hope and Fear expansion. So it looks like they're set up for a lot more Daggerheart to come in the future.
Yeah, sounds good for the Daggerheart fans.
All right, those are your headlines. Let's move on to crowdfunding. Today we're taking a look at Blood Magic, a supplement for Shadowdark from Molten Blast. From the project page, Chris, Blood Magic is so reviled that nearly every civilized society in the known world has outlawed it. Those who practice it are hunted, exiled, and made examples. Yet the lure of power is stronger than fear. Blood mages keep spreading, adapting, and refining their craft, no matter how many are put to the torch. It adds lore and rules for magic fueled by blood and sacrifice. And Chris, you'll like this. Alignment matters here.
Okay.
Yeah, it shapes how blood mages gather power, what they're willing to take, and what the magic is going to take in return.
Sounds good. I have my concerns.
Yeah?
Well, it does sound cool, right? But it seems like it's oftentimes not worth it, right? Like, this needs to be pretty potent. Like, if I'm going to be burned at the stake for practicing this heresy,
right.
like, it better be good.
And if you're not burned at the stake, I mean, you're carving yourself up, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're going to have a hard time getting a date. It's hard to make friends.
So what does this project include? 2 new Shadowdark classes that practice blood magic. Both draw power from chaos, but each pays a different price. You get over 20 new spells, some so vile, Chris, that only creatures aligned with chaos can wield them. Over 15 new monsters, including creations of Bloodcraft and the final failed forms of blood mages who pushed too far. You get rules for blood rites. Those can enter any campaign through cults, villains, or desperate allies as long as someone is willing to bleed for the results.
And the clock is ticking.
I mean, if you're going to bring blood magic into your game, I mean, there's a tone there, right?
Yeah.
Certainly is a tone shifter.
Yeah. I mean, again, it could be cool, but make sure it's worth it.
If you are interested in blood magic for Shadowdark, you'll find a link in the show notes. You've got 4 days left to jump on this one. All right. That is crowdfunding. One more stop today, and it is our question of the week. We just spoke about the upcoming starter set for Warhammer, the Old World. Of course, you're getting dice, you're getting tokens, maps, the adventure. So this week's question, what makes a great starter set? What are you looking for?
Well, in theory, a starter set is your introduction to the game, your introduction to the system. It needs to be capable of explaining the system. It needs to be capable of showing, probably most importantly, how this is fun. So you need an adventure that's interesting, that grabs the players, that makes them want to play more, and the mechanics need to be explained in a simple way rather than getting in the way, complement the story that's being told. So it's like a great adventure, but it's a little more hand-holding.
Our most recent experience with a starter set would be MCDM's The Delian Tomb for Draw Steel. Now, this is all digital, so you don't get a physical box of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff here, both for players and the director. As a player, how do you feel that the Delian Tomb handled the onboarding? Does it check the boxes you were just speaking to?
Yeah, definitely. I loved the idea of you're sort of growing into being a first level character. So you don't have even everything a first level character would start with. You sort of, as you go through this introductory part of the adventure, you're gaining those abilities. And so you're not overwhelmed with, I can do 15 different things and what's the right thing to do. But instead you have a limited number and it only continues to grow. And I thought that was a great way to introduce people to the system. You get little bite-sized chunks that you can work your way through rather than having a lot of things thrown at you at once. So I did like it.
I think another important feature for a starter set is expectation setting. We've talked about the newest D&D starter set before. Full disclaimer, neither of us own this starter set.
Right.
But we are both aware of all of the components that it comes with, some of those board game-y elements that are included in the box. While I dig that stuff, it's a great product.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Does it set the wrong expectation for a player who's just coming into Dungeons and Dragons? Because the idea, if you're WotC, is to hook them with the starter set. Now the next step is go get your core rule books and play beyond level 3. But beyond level 3, you're not going to have these handy cards, these tokens. Your play experience is going to completely change at the table.
I think, in truth, it's a real opportunity for Wizards of the Coast to, sell some cards. I think if you can get people hooked on that product, but I don't think they were prepared for that. I think it was more of a standalone idea, but it's something they probably need to think about if it's popular.
If you can take that same approach and layer it onto 20 levels of play, then great. Yeah, you've met that expectation.
Right.
So
yeah, and again, they're dealing with the same issue, right? And that is when you create a character in these games, there is a lot thrown at you. And so those cards, rather than giving you little pieces like we saw with Draw Steel, they've chosen to give you these aids to help you play the game, right? To make it easier to understand the powers and the abilities you have. But yeah, there is no carryover into the rest of the game beyond the starter set. And so that might be where there's a struggle. But I think they're trying to solve the same problem, which is, introducing new players to some of these crazy rules and abilities that their character is going to have.
You've got some experience running the original 5th edition starter set that included the Mines of Phandelver adventure. Mm-hmm. So I'd be interested in your thoughts on that starter set. That one, of course, came with the standard set of blue dice. Mm-hmm. You got a condensed rule book. Mm-hmm. You got the adventure book and some pre-generated characters.
Yeah.
Anything else in that box?
Some maps, but that was about it. Yeah, it was.
And that's a great set.
It is a great set. I'll be honest. I don't, and all these sets have the pre-gen characters, and it makes sense, but I found every time I ran it, people wanted to make their own characters. Like, that's another issue with it, is like, let's be honest, that's half the fun. It's like my son, he doesn't want to be a dwarf, he wants to be a lizard man, right, or lizard folk. He wants to be a dragonborn, so right. It's just, I have found that even for new players, like the idea of creating their own character, with what they think is cool, what they think it would be fun to play. These don't always address that. And pre-gen characters, I'm the same way. It takes me a long time to warm up to them. In Draw Steel, probably the first 3 or 4 sessions, I could not have cared less about my character. Right. Now I'm starting to get her. She's starting to get a personality, right? And
she is.
yeah, for good or ill. Yeah, but it takes a long time for me to do that. Either way, obviously having the pre-gen characters is good because with the starter set, you're just dipping your toes into this game. And so if you really enjoy that, you can get those core rule books, make your own character,
right.
and now it's a whole new experience.
And we haven't even mentioned the fact that for quite a few systems, basic rules are available for free.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're looking for expanded options, but you're not ready to make that full purchase yet.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so as we wrap things up today, we'll ask that question again. What makes a great starter set? Let us know, thievescantcast@gmail.com, or you can drop a comment down below. And I think that'll do it for today. Chris, we're back tomorrow with some lore. We're cracking the lore vault.
That's right. I had to do some homework. I've been in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Scrawling on the scroll.
By candlelight.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk the Phoenix tomorrow, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so don't miss that. We will see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, have a great Monday. We'll see you next time. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
It's been Thieves Cant. So long.
Thank you for listening to Thieves Cant. Email thievescantcast@gmail.com.